the ability to sustain a thought process, the ability to focus, and the ability to be present is diminishing.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it difficult to do anything, really. And it's not anyone's personal fault. I think our society is built in a way that makes it currently very, very difficult to get out of that, because our whole lives are in the smartphone. We're dependent on our networks that are currently mostly online.
Welcome to WITT. Hi, I'm Megan. I talk with founders, investors, and operators working in tech. My aim is to inspire you with their stories and perspectives. Through this podcast, I want to amplify the voice of women working in tech. If you want to support WITT, then make sure you follow us on your favourite podcasting app. Then you won't miss any future episodes. Today's guest is Piia, entrepreneur, engineer, and COO of XOM. She is a champion in resilient leadership and well-being in the fast-paced world of tech. Let's get into it. Hi, Piia. Welcome to WITT. It's great to have you on the podcast.
Hey, Megan. Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. I would love to kick off our conversation with a lightning round. Is that okay?
Ooh, wow. That sounds interesting. Let's get into it.
Great.
All
First
right.
question. What's the most energizing moment in your career so far?
Oh, gosh. I think the decision to become an entrepreneur, honestly, for the first time.
Totally. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Second question. What is a woman in tech who inspires you the most right now?
There's a lady called Laura who runs a startup called Audison. And she does all the work. She works so hard and she gets result in a very, like, she goes through walls. She's fantastic, but she's
Wow.
also very, very kind.
Awesome.
Love her to bits. Yeah.
Third question. What's your personal definition of success today?
I think every day is I'm hoping to be able to be helpful to others, definitely not harmful.
I like it. Fourth question. Would you rather do workouts only or singing only?
No, don't make me choose between the two. Oh gosh, it would have to be workouts. I think the body requires some level of exercise, but it would suck not to sing.
Okay. Question number 5. If you could only give one piece of advice to a first-time founder, what would it be?
Just do it.
Very common theme, I think.
Yeah, it's very easy to get stuck in theorizing and thinking you don't have the skills or you don't have the resources or whatever. Usually through action, you start finding out what works. Yeah.
Totally. Question number 6. What are some signs of a future leader?
I think the ability to really meet people, want to see them, want to understand them, want to connect with them is very important, because at the end of the day, if you're not able to work with others, doesn't matter how awesome you are on your own.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 7. What's the best way to find a mentor in the tech industry or the entrepreneurial industry?
I think it's a very good idea to network, especially if you're getting started. So find a way to meet people who are working with the same topics or struggling with the same things. Get to know them, and you will find a person that you can sort of click with, who has some of the experience maybe, or the ability to give you the sort of support that you need. Then just ask them.
Definitely. Question number 8. What tech trend are you genuinely excited about right now?
I'm both very excited and very, very scared with the developments in AI. So, on one day, I'm just like, oh gosh, we're going to solve all the disease in the world. And then the other day, I'm like, well, are people outsourcing all of their cognitive work to AI now? What's going on? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a mix.
It's a bit of a mixed bag. Yeah.
Okay. And then, most important question, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
I love ice cream. There isn't a flavor I won't have, I don't think, except durian fruit, if you're familiar with that. It's very common in Asia and it stinks to high heaven.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Wouldn't have that one, but I would absolutely have anything else, I think.
Wow. Okay. I like it. And then the last question for the lightning round is, if you had to describe your entrepreneurial journey in 3 emojis, what would they be and why?
It would be a drip of sweat coming down my forehead.
Okay. Yeah.
There would be a rocket.
Yeah.
And I think there would be a hug.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
And then what are the reasons?
for those.
Yeah.
Well, it's not an easy journey.
Mm-hmm.
To be an entrepreneur, most days you have to really deliver. You have to work
Yeah.
very hard, and you have to confront your own fears
Mm-hmm.
most days as well. So, there's a bit of a very fine sheen of sweat on your forehead at all times, at least
On all
mentally,
times, yeah.
at
Okay.
all times mentally. And then
Yeah.
obviously, especially when you're building tech startups, you're aiming for high growth. You're aiming to go
Mm-hmm.
move forward very fast, learn very fast.
Yeah.
And also my personal way of doing things has been consistently to sort of go all in on things.
Like
So
a
the rocket,
rocket.
like a
Yeah.
rocket, you strap yourself in, you use all the duct tape that you have to, attach yourself, and then off you go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the hug is the, as it is a demanding, I suppose, a career.
Yeah.
You have to be very kind to yourself, and you have to take care of yourself. You also have to remember to take care of others. So if you, at least for me personally, if you enter this sort of, well, if you enter anything with the idea that people are just sort of, someone to use on your way to success, then you're going to have a
Mm-hmm.
really, really bad time. And everyone else is going to have a
Yeah.
really bad time. Money doesn't really make you happy. So you have to have a journey and a community that makes you happy.
Yeah. I love that. That was some good emojis, I would say. But
Yes.
yeah, that was really awesome.
That
Thank you so much for answering my lightning round
was
questions.
fun. Thank you for the questions.
Awesome.
Enjoyed it.
And
Yeah.
let's now move on to your journey, right? So I would say you've lived a few lifetimes already, right? So entrepreneur, public speaker, coach, amongst many. What's a moment for you that really kind of kicked off these journeys?
Well, I think the one experience that I always go back to that was sort of the first, I think, role where I realized many things are possible was when I was, this is over 10 years ago already. So at the time when I was still a student in the university, I was elected the president of the student union. And it's a bit of a big deal in Finland because student unions are massive organizations and with a lot of resources and a lot of people. So I was all of a sudden I was democratically elected by the student council.
Mm-hmm.
I had a full-time working board of 10 other students who were elected into the board, and we had 50 staff and, a budget in the millions, 15,000 students that you're looking after, and a new university, because this was just a few years into the birth of Aalto University, which was combined from three different fairly prestigious Finnish universities. So when you find yourself in that position, and then everybody knows you on campus, and you're managing a young, a bunch of really excited, super, super motivated people who want to,
Mm-hmm.
with big dreams.
Yeah.
That was my first real, I'd say, a leadership position, where I
Okay.
was also responsible for others. And that was a challenging and an exciting and a fun year, but that definitely kicked me off on, oh well, many things are possible if you just show up and do things. And I think through that has been a significant contributor to having the courage and, just believing that many things can be done if you just put your mind to it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes back to your whole mentality around like just do it and kind of I've always really loved that kind of mentality that you have with the whole like yeah, you just have to go for it, you know?
Yeah, I didn't always have that. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, yeah.
yeah,
I feel
it's
like a lot
it's
of people don't just I don't think a lot of people are born with that kind of no not I mean in a sense like no risk kind of
mm,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's scary because you put yourself out there.
Mhm.
And if you haven't have opinions, or if you're trying to build something no one else really believes in at that time,
Mhm.
and people will tell you, no, that sucks, that's never going to work, you don't have the skills, you don't have the team, you don't have the
Yeah.
money, you don't understand the market, all this will come when you're building a startup. You do have to find a way to process that. and
Mhm.
and one way of building faith in anything you do is through familiarity and experience.
Mhm.
And that only comes from walking the walk, like actually taking the steps into doing something. Um, but that's very scary, and
Yeah.
and and so I've definitely had to work on it very hard, and it took me a
Mm.
long time to set up my first like growth startup. because I felt like I didn't have the courage, or I, wasn't good enough, or, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
All those negative thoughts.
right,
But
exactly.
yeah, no, you've talking about kind of building and companies and all of that. But you've built multiple companies from scratch, I would say. And what does building things from nothing to something mean for you?
It's always, for me, it's been important to, you know, contribute to the world, have some kind of a positive impact outside of just, just doing things for me or doing things for money. Both of these are fairly uninteresting. And so that has been an impetus, because then that gives you a strong motivator, and that also then helps you motivate others around whatever you're doing, right? So to me, it always looks like, is this really worth doing? Is this contributing to the world? Am I able to argue with myself that I'm going to build a strong motivation around this, and I'm going to be
Hmm.
able to be very clear to everyone else why this is important, so that they can, understand it and
Yeah.
choose if they want to share this. And I've always felt like best things are built around that, and then people who want to work for that, sorry, work for that goal. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you kind of attract those people who want to solve that particular problem and make that particular impact on the world, right?
Yeah, that's I'm more and more converging around that, because then
Hmm.
you have, everyone is intrinsically motivated. So they're also motivated to solve problems that arise, either
Yeah.
external problems, how to get funding, how to get support, or
Hmm.
internal problems within the team, because conflicts are also bound to arise.
Yeah.
So they're also committed to working through those. And I always find that if people are able to find that sort of place where they can shine and they can work for something that they care about, then all other things can be solved one
Yeah.
way or another. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
it's like if they're there for the mission or the kind of vision or the impact, then, or rather than being there for like the money, they're a
Mm.
lot more likely to actually care about the problem you're trying to solve, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it goes back to also how startups work, especially in the early stage, because you can't pay people a good salary. You just
Yeah.
can't. You don't have the resources for that. Or if you're
Yeah.
running a
Yeah.
nonprofit or whatever, right? So there has to be something else. And obviously money is important. I'm not saying it isn't, because we all have to sustain ourselves somehow.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but one of the name of the game, especially when it comes to hypergrowth startups, is that the payoff is at the end. You
Yeah.
bet on being able to build a
You
big
bet on
company.
the
Yeah,
company. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I like that. Let's switch topics a little bit.
Let's do that.
Because we're living in what many people call the kind of the age of distraction.
Mm.
So from your experience as both a builder and a coach, how do you personally stay like mentally focused, and how do you help others do the same in a startup environment that's constantly shifting?
That is a massive question, Megan. That is not.
Yes, it is.
I do not have the one concise answer for you for that. But well, the age of distraction is obviously, our environment currently doesn't really support things like focus, and focus is essential for thinking and problem solving. And we've all had, we either are or have been addicted to our smartphones and social media and news feeds. That's just the reality.
Normal.
That is
Yeah.
the norm. You go into the subway and everyone is like this.
Mm-hmm.
um, there's 5 seconds when you're not distracted or doing something, you take out your phone, and it's an automatic. So what I see, is that for a lot of people, the ability to sustain a thought process, the ability to focus, and the ability to be present is diminishing,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes it difficult, to do anything really. And it's not anyone's personal fault. I think our society is built in a way that makes it
Yeah.
currently very, very difficult to get out of that, because our
Yeah.
whole lives are in the smartphone. We're dependent on our networks that are currently mostly online, and COVID just sort of made it even more prevalent in a
Yeah.
way
Kind of
that,
solidified,
yeah,
right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So then I think it just comes like you start with the basics. You start with like, can I leave my phone when I go to the bathroom, kind of a thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can I not take it with me? You have to do a bit of hard work because your habits are so strong. So it goes down
Mm-hmm.
to like trying to be mindful and try to pay attention to um, distractions, trying to focus on one thing at the same time, and trying to have actual physical contact with another
Mm-hmm.
human being every now and then. All of those will help you to be more present
Mm-hmm. Be
as a
more focused,
starter.
be more productive, right?
Yes, being productive is definitely one part of it. We all have probably jobs that we need to sustain ourselves, and we have these goals we want to achieve. And being distracted on like a daily level of like not being able to be without your phone for 5 seconds, but
Mm-hmm.
also on a general level, being distracted by things that don't contribute to the things that are meaningful to you. Um, then that will eventually lead to a life that's not really lived. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you spend a lot of your time on Netflix or playing video games, I used to be a big gamer myself, so I'm not judging, and I will still go back sometimes. But then you spend 400 hours on Witcher or Legend of Zelda or whatever, and that 400 hours is away from maybe the thing that you really want to do but never really get around to. So it's good
Mm-hmm.
to think about why you do things and whether you're actually doing and taking action, again,
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
something towards the thing that really matter to you.
yeah. Let's move on. Great topic, but let's move on to your uh, current startup, right? So you are the co-founder of, I'm going to try and say it correctly, Exum,
Exom,
X
yeah.
Axum,
Exom, yeah.
close
Well
enough,
done. Close enough.
which is accelerating the green energy transition by balancing an electric grids.
That's
Tell us a
the
bit about what this means, what this actually means.
Yes, I think, yeah, some clarification is in place. Well, we mentioned I mentioned the AI transition. So that's obviously one thing. We are going to need a lot more stable energy production to be able to do all the processing that machine intelligences are doing. We're
Mm-hmm.
electrifying absolutely everything from traffic to industry, so on and so forth. So even in modern countries, we are actually placing an unprecedented strain on our electric grid infrastructure. On top of that, we're transitioning away from stable but not climate friendly sources of energy, such as burning coal, for example, into solar panels and wind parks. And the difference between those two is that you can choose how much coal you burn, but you cannot decide when the wind is going to blow. So there's a massive variability of, when you get energy in, and then there's a massive demand of energy at all times that keeps on increasing. And then things like what recently happened in Spain, Portugal, and a part of France happened because the grid just fails, just can't handle it. It becomes a complex system. It has strains that have never been present before, and then it just can't handle it. It just shuts down. So that's the business that we currently do with Exxon, is that in order for us to have that future, we need to fortify the grids with new kinds of balancing solutions. And we're building
Yeah.
all of that from scratch, both hardware and software, and all of the research and all of that goes into it here in Finland.
Very cool. So wait, are you
Yay!
building the actual
Yes,
hardware
we
in
are.
Finland?
Yeah, we're
Good.
yeah, we're like a hardware deep tech company, and we're
That's so
also
cool.
very aware of how our logistics work in
Mm-hmm.
this current world. So we're ensuring that we have access to sustainable and materials that we can also have if, the world goes to shit, which it might.
Yeah. Fair. Always good to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Can you give me like an example of what it looks like to stabilize? I was trying to think of the right word, but stabilize the energy grid. What does that entail?
It usually entails, there's now we have overproduction of electricity. It's a very sunny day, and everyone is outdoors, and industry isn't using that much or whatever. You have overproduction. So where does it go?
Mm-hmm.
It needs to go somewhere.
Right.
So then you need operators like Exxon to be there to take that out of the grid and do something with it, so that the grid can continue operating.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to store it or to kind of siphon it to somewhere else that might need more energy at that time.
All of that is possible.
Okay,
It,
both.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can once you have that, you can do whatever you want with it basically. But the key thing really is that on a grid level, the
Hmm.
grid operators, they need to maintain that balance every second of every day or the grid will start failing.
Yeah.
So they need operators that are flexible and available to them at a reasonable price to be
Hmm.
able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
And that's why you can
interesting.
charge your phone. That's why you
Yeah.
keep getting electricity out of your socket.
Very interesting. I really like this idea, this topic. But let's dig into your frameworks, right? So
All right.
I want you to tell me a bit more about setting principles and simplicity.
Yes, I think we looked into it a little
We did
bit.
talk about this a little bit. We can go a bit more in detail though.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think simplicity is actually very hard, but it does come
Mm-hmm.
from having a clear idea of what you're doing and why. Again,
Mm-hmm.
as we discussed, that helps motivate, but that then also gives a clear direction and the ability to prioritize. And how that could look like in a business very practically. Obviously, when
Mm-hmm.
you're a company that operates for profit, you need to make a profit.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
need to have revenue,
Yep.
and then usually from that you can lead a sort of go, well, okay, what generates revenue, what are then the things that would need to be in place in order for that to
Mm-hmm.
happen, and that's sort of clear, but it's always not that clear. You think it's obvious, but
Yeah.
it's hard to do, especially if you're building a new kind of a business model or a new kind of a
Mm-hmm.
solution, to know which steps actually lead to revenue in an optimal way. But then the other thing is, so that's one. You need to have the basics handled. You cannot
Yeah.
afford not to handle your basics. And I've
Mm-hmm.
definitely lived through a time where we didn't do that, and it sucks, and you should avoid going into that situation.
Yeah.
But then the other side of that is, well, what's the problem we're solving? Um, who is the customer? So, for example, the grid operators are our customers. So, how do we build the absolute best thing for them,
Mm-hmm.
and what serves that?
Yeah.
So, you always remember, like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Is this
Mm-hmm.
action that I'm now taking, is that serving that purpose? Or am I doing
Mm-hmm.
something that would be nice
Completely
to do, but
different.
doesn't really, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, doesn't contribute? Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. 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 No, the I like the kind of steps. You know, it's kind of like you need to do this before you can do this, and then you can kind of focus on these particular points, right? You
yeah.
also talked a little bit about kind of importance and urgency in everything.
Oh, yeah, I did
And then you
mention
also
that.
said if it's not both, it doesn't get done.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
it, Again, it's a very simple framework. I'm a simple girl. I like simple tools. It's just that. It's a complex world. We all have a lot to do. This is something that is beneficial to use in not just your professional life, maybe outside of your professional life as well. But especially in a startup environment, you always have, a to-do list that's, you know,
A million.
a million items that you could be
Yep.
doing, and a million items for absolutely everyone else around you as well that
Yeah.
you could be doing. So then you have to find some way of prioritizing. So if you're very clear on what your goal is and why you're doing what you're doing, then you can go, well, is this important
Is
to
this
meet that goal?
aligned with the goal, right?
Yes. If
Yeah.
it's not, then it's not you shouldn't maybe be doing that. And then if it is it urgent?
Yeah.
Can I do this later? Or does it need to be done today? And usually if you do that sort of prioritization all the time, it
Mm-hmm.
becomes second nature. It teaches you about the business. It teaches you to be on top of what's important at every time. It teaches you to ask the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't just sort of go into sort of like a passive mode of just,
Right.
getting tasks done, because,
Yeah.
you have to be doing the right things in addition to doing
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. So you're kind of turning off the autopilot in your brain, kind of thing.
Yes, can't really afford the autopilot at any time, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think. Obviously, it will happen because, it's a strain, but when you're building fast, and we're going to a 25x revenue this year. Um, you're building very fast. Every day is a series of problems that need to be solved. You're figuring out something you haven't done before. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone else around you is equally confused and working equally hard. So you have to create that clarity for yourself. You also have to, especially if you're leading other people, you have to create that clarity for
Yeah.
them, even more importantly, because otherwise
Mm-hmm.
they can't do what you would like them to do and they can't
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to lead by example, right? That's the correct kind of saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, talk is cheap, that's for sure. Actions speak louder than words and all the other
All the other
sayings, but they're
sayings.
very true, right? But then also by having principles, goals, priorities, and having an
Mm-hmm.
active conversation about them that's frequent. You also make it a learning experience that you can have together. It's like, what's here? What are we
Yeah.
looking at? Like, what is really the issue? What can we do to solve it? And you can do it together.
Awesome. Okay, well, now we've entered the part of the podcast which I like to call the zigzag zone. So I
Wow.
want to know where you're zagging and everyone else is zigging. So in your questions, you talked a bit about finding a better way of running society and
Yeah.
taking care of each other, right?
Talking about
So
ambition, right?
yeah. So what is a kind of a way of running a society? What's a better way of running society for you?
Oh boy, I really set myself up here, didn't I? That's a
It's a
massive question.
good question though.
It is though, because the general vibe is that there's a lot of very angry people in the world today, and
Yes.
the general vibe seems to also be that it's getting worse.
Hmm.
That the future doesn't look better than the past. Would you say that's an accurate? Um,
Say that is an accurate representation of the world today. Maybe the kind of American world today, but more kind of lean towards them, but
I'm not
certainly
pointing
as a whole.
fingers. I'm
But
not
yeah.
pointing fingers. But I mean, we keep having the same problems. We keep
Hmm.
overusing the resources that we have. We
Not
keep
learning from our mistakes.
not
Yes.
learning from our mistakes. We keep fighting wars and killing each other.
Hmm.
We keep treating
Yeah.
each other very badly. And um, I'm, I just, well, I'm running a capitalistic startup, so obviously I have a lot of opportunity to reflect whether I'm doing the right things and treating people
Yeah. Yeah.
fairly in that environment as well. But I mean, I would just generally like to see us, kill each other less and collaborate a little bit more. For
Yeah.
example, we only have the one planet. We're completely interdependent. We're
Hmm.
completely dependent on each other.
Hmm.
If what we saw with the COVID pandemic is if we don't take care of one part of the planet, something like an emerging disease might happen. This could also happen in places like Africa or anywhere there's war and hygiene conditions are bad, and
Yeah.
a virus can transform and spread very quickly these days. And as long as we keep having these problems in some parts of the world, we're all going to be affected by them.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to that whole kind of concept of we're all in this together. We all have to kind of collaborate and try and fix what we've broken. And it's not necessarily anyone's fault. We just need to do something, right? So it's like, just do it kind of mentality. But yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I really liked your, yeah, making a better society, that kind of thing. I like.
Yeah, and I mean it can feel if you approach it from the level of we need to make a better society, it becomes a daunting task and it becomes an impossible scope, right? It's
Yeah.
so then it's useful to sort of look at it from a grassroots level of like, what can I do right now
Yeah.
in the place I'm in with the people that
Yeah.
I'm with?
Starting small and then kind of
Yeah,
building up. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. I love it. Let's
that's nice.
now move on to story time. Story time
Hmm.
time.
I'm story
Yep.
time. All right.
So I want
Good
to know what
branding. I love
happened.
it.
Yeah, I know, right? I want to know what happened with you being one of the 5 people to name the Oulu Metro stop. What happened with that?
So So we're talking about the metro line extension towards the west in Helsinki, capital of Finland. And this was some years back, and they'd been trying to do that for 30 years, and they finally got to it. And they were like, "We're building it now." At the time, I was in the student union at Aalto University, and there was extensive lobbying to get the metro to do this, to go to the campus. That was very important. But then it was going to be named after the geographical area, the metro stop. So what
Yeah,
happened is that as
boring.
students, yeah, I mean, anyway,
Who
as
cares?
students are prone to do, we were drinking and chatting with our neighbors at the Helsinki
Mm-hmm.
University, and they told us that there's a metro stop at the Helsinki University main building as well, and they had been trying to change the name to Helsinki University for ages, and they just couldn't make it happen. It was called Kaisaniemi at the time. They were like, "Yeah, we just couldn't make it happen," and we were like, "Wait a minute, we could, we could just." We could just change the name that's coming to our campus. We could just do that. So then we got together. We wrote a position paper. We called the university, the president of the university at the time. Then we called the mayor of Espoo city, which is the city where this metro stop is located.
Right.
And then it just so happened that the person who was running the board of the executive board of the city was also an alum of the student union. So we made 3 phone calls and we wrote a paper. We had a meeting, and then a few weeks later, the metro stop was named Aalto University because we were like, everyone does this. You want to put your new university on the map. You want everyone who sees the metro
Mm-hmm.
map go, oh, Aalto University is right there. It goes to the campus. This is how you build a brand, and this is how you build an identity. So that was the thing, and it took us like 2 weeks, and it didn't take long after that for the metro stop in Kaisaniemi to be renamed Helsinki University as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
so
that's how it
cool.
happened. Yeah, that's how it happened.
Such a cool story. And again, just a representation of just do it. Just talk to the people. Just get it done.
Yeah.
Which I love. Well, that was super interesting. But we are sadly coming to the end of the podcast. But I do have 3 final questions for
All
you.
right, let's go.
So yeah.
All
So
right.
first one is, imagine it's 2035. So in 10 years' time, what does your life look like? What does your company look
I would like to think that the company is one of world's key players in electric grid infrastructure.
like? Mm-hmm.
And we have maybe built grid infrastructure to all corners of the world and made the green energy transition happen and built a world where energy security is a given. Personally, I think by that time I probably have moved out of an operational role. And I'd like to think that I'm probably in a meditation retreat somewhere.
Lovely.
Yes.
Very good goals, I would say. Second question. How can listeners follow along with your journey?
I think the best way is you just look me up. My name is probably going to be in the show notes. I have
Mm-hmm.
a website. You can find my contact information there. I'm happy to hear from you. I do coaching and I do mentoring. I also help, especially female startup founders, to get started. I do that. Some of them work pro bono as well. I'm happy to have a session and just spar because it's hard to get help in the beginning. Also on LinkedIn, you can look me up, have a chat. That's where I'm mostly active. But I must admit that since we have been running in a bit of a stealth mode with the startup, I have also shut up a lot on social media.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how
Fair
you find
enough.
me.
Awesome. And then last question.
Mm.
How can listeners be useful to you? So what can they do to help you?
Well, maybe not for me specifically, but I think the best way for listeners to be helpful would be to be kind to one another. So treat others well. That would be my request. If somebody needs help, give them help if you can. And I think that way you're also helping me.
Awesome. What a great message to end on. Well, thank you so much for being a part of my podcast. I'm really looking forward
Absolute
to
pleasure.
following along with your journey. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure, Megan. Thank you. I'm also looking forward to following along on your journey, by the way. Many things to come, I'm sure.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. To make sure you don't miss next week's episode, follow us on your favorite podcasting app. Do consider leaving us a review as it helps the podcast tremendously.